Welcome to Tuna Theory, the channel where science dives deep, true stories get untangled, inventions spark your imagination, theories to unhook, and weird things will get even weirder, weirder than your neighbor. This episode is about the shadow people. They are known to be seen in broad daylight, at night, and in dreams. Children and adults who suffer from sleep paralysis are known to be attacked by the shadow people. They have been known to scare, stare, and warn of dangers. Many will describe one as wearing a wide-brimmed hat with red eyes. They come in different forms and sizes. The following are accounts from different people all over the world. I was driving to a job site at night with my coworkers. One was in the passenger seat and the other two were behind us in a different vehicle. I was driving on the freeway when I saw a black figure climbing a streetlight. It had a long torso, about twice as long as it should be. It was about halfway up the pole climbing like a monkey would. My coworker in the passenger seat saw it too. When we got to the job site, my coworker told the workers in the other vehicle. They saw it too. We were all shocked. I had a shadow people experience as a teenager. I lived in Texas at the time, near a municipal airport, and we were renting a property with acres of field attached to it. I don't remember why I was outside this late at night given it was a little over 10 years ago, but I was about to head inside when I heard a rustle behind the house, which was to my left. I turned to look and saw a solid black, human-shaped figure, maybe about 4 feet tall, running away from the house and into the fields. It passed through a spot we had fencing in, and I stared at it for probably close to 5 seconds before it vanished. I felt like it probably saw me and got spooked, because that's the only time I've seen anything haul ass the way it did. I've always believed that there's more to reality than what we can physically see, but that kind of confirmed it for me. It moved way too fast to be human, and its hands weren't visible. They tapered off and vanished. I was woke by experiencing weight on my chest, and then I saw a shadow, like a woman, but no clear feature. I was scared for some seconds, but I was able to cool myself, but the shadow was still there. And you might found it funny, but now I was not scared instead. I was angry because there is something on top of my chest and is not moving, and I can't move at all. But I was calm and tried to move my body, but I can't. But then I felt that I can move a little bit of my lower body, and I was smiling looking at the shadow, and then it slipped to my left side and I felt it was sliding. It was like a rigid object, and then it disappeared, and I was able to move, and I was laughing at what I experienced. But at first 5 seconds I felt intense fear, that's true too, and second time I was not even scared. Everything was same, except there was no fear. This time I try to move my arm to touch it, but I can't. But I was able to move my lower body and it disappeared. I've experienced these shadow people 3 times in my life. The second encounter was terrifying. I was in a deep depression after losing 3 family members in a short period of time. I was looking for answers. I read Jung's Workman and his Symbols, Red Book, and other texts like Kundalini and books on consciousness and alchemical texts. At around 3 a.m., a shadow person woke me trying to creep up on me in my sleep. When it saw I was awake, it suddenly knelt on my back and I felt an immense sense of sleepiness. I heard my partner whisper, "It's okay, babe, go back to sleep," but my partner was at work that night. It was this thing trying to trick me to go back to sleep. I was trying to stand up but couldn't. The shadow then laughed and said that it hadn't tricked me. It had a knife and played with it into my right palm. I felt pain and managed to push up and it disappeared. I saw I had a cut on my hand. I actually showed my mom the next day, and she joked saying it looked like a stigmata and asked how I hurt myself. I told her what happened and she didn't believe me. Not long after that, I then saw the Hat Man in a lucid dream. I think maybe the Hat Man hunts whatever these things are, but others have said that it's attacked them. Hit subscribe to join the Tuna Theory tribe. Give this video a big thumbs up if it reeled you in, and share it with your friends who love a good deep dive into the strange, wild, and wonderful. Beneath the streetlight's glow, a strange shadow flickered, humanoid yet two-dimensional. Its short, still wings and claws intrigued me as it floated effortlessly through the light until only its feet remained. I turned to my friend, masking my awe with excitement about the upcoming game. Years later, a clay tablet depicting a similar creature sent chills through me, igniting a battle against this enigmatic entity that never returned. I was walking under a streetlight while watching the stars. I could easily see a black shadow humanoid against the streetlight's shroud. A yellow background, it looked 2D, flat like a shadowit's. Wings were too short for its body. The wings were not flapping. It had a small claw at the top crest of each wing. It had 3 toes on each foot, 5 fingers, and what looked like a 4-inch bone or appendage sticking out the side of its calf. It pointed out and up toward its head. I watched it fly or float all the way through the light. I stared in awe until its feet were the only thing left in the light. I turned to my friend and shouted that the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl. I didn't want it to know I saw it. I told my friend a block later. He believed me, and we went home immediately. We soon separated and ran to our separate homes. That happened over 10 years ago. I have not seen anything like, not even close that night or any other night before or since then. Not a shadow foot or a small shadow moving. Its body had a perfect portion except for the wings. They looked too small for its body. About 2 years ago, I was online tracking down ancient civilizations that knew of it. I found a clay tablet that looked exactly like what I saw, except the clay tablet had bird-like wings. I found the deity's original name. I said its name about 7 times trying to pronounce it to spell it out to do more reading about the deity. That night, I could not see the entity. It gave me chills like it was crawling up my body when I was trying to sleep. It kept me up for hours. When I did fall asleep, it held me down either on my bed and then later on the floor. It would levitate a normal object close to my face. It scared me, but not enough to wake me. Scared me just enough to keep me asleep. The next day, I prepared to do battle against that entity. I wanted to beat its ass for scaring me all night with regular objects floating like marbles, toys, and pencils. I was expecting it, and it did not show up. It's very weird. To see the winged shadow humanoid, saying or unknowingly chanting its original name than to being captive to an entity all night. I had a GF who had told me about her night terrors, but I always chalked it up to nightmares even though she stressed they are different. So, we are living together, and my friend came to visit, and we went out, and my GF was passed out in the coach. I came back, and she had scratches on her side, like 3 that looked like scratch marks, but she was not bleeding, so I thought she had done it to herself, and had brought her to the bedroom. The second we entered the bedroom, I got so cold, it was weird, so I asked her to explain. She said they had attacked her, and she had only woken up when we got back. I didn't believe her, and when I turned around, there was blood on the back of the door, exactly the same as the 3 long scratches on her side. I saw the Hat Man when I was a child. Man in a hat and trench coat at the end of my bed. I don't know how old I was. I did have an extremely brutal childhood. Years later, when I was in my teens, I went to the library and read about the Hat Man in a book. My blood ran cold to know that it was an actual thing. I called him Little Black Hat. He lived in my closet in my bedroom at my grandparents' house. Almost every one of my cousins who slept in that room saw him. When I was 16, I was staying at my girlfriend's house for the first time. I fell asleep and then woke up. I couldn't move. Then I looked to my right and a plague doctor type of shadow figure was hovering over me. It had red glowing eyes. I didn't sleep for a couple nights afterwards. My sleep paralysis dreams would always involve the Greys or Hat Man. One time I had a dream that the Hat Man cocooned me or wrapped me up in my blanket like a burrito to drag me to hell, all while saying I am the gatekeeper. A totally terrifying dream. I dreamt of the Greys. I would look at the front door. A beam of light would shine through. The door would open, and I would see them. But as soon as I saw their figure or eyes, it would be so overwhelmingly scary, I would wake up. Thanks for tuning into Tuna Theory, where the ordinary gets flipped and the extraordinary gets explained. Keep your fins sharp and your minds sharper. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the depths.